For this video, we will be talking about section 2.1, which is writing and interpreting equations. To start, we have some vocabulary here. A mathematical statement that contains two expressions and an equal sign is an equation. And then the second one in mathematics, a constraint is a condition that a solution must satisfy. These conditions limit the number of possible solutions. So our first set of examples here, we have write an equation for a sentence. So looking at number 1, we have 20 minus the quotient of 7 and x is the same as twice x. So using our words and operation symbols from chapter 1, 20 minus would look like this. The quotient of 7 and x, quotient means division, so 7 and x, I like to write my division like a fraction. You could also have 20 minus 7 divided by x, that would be totally fine. I would put this in parentheses if I were you, if you wrote it like that. But then it says is the same as twice x. So the same as would be our equal sign. Twice x would be 2 times x. So then if you finish this one up here, either of those would be totally acceptable. Next, we have number 2, 10 less than 4 times a number. So let's start with that because I see is equal to here, so I know that that's going to be my equal sign. 10 less than, again, remember, less than flips the order. So if you want to make a note of that again, we have that from our 1.1 notes, but we'll go ahead and add it here. So flips the order. So that means 10 is going to be at the end of this part of the expression. 4 times a number would be 4x, and then we would have that minus 10. Then we have is equal to, so equal sign, 16. And then the last one for this section, the product of 8 and x would be 8x, 8 times x, is equal to the difference of x and 5. Again, difference means subtraction, so this would be x minus 5. So there you have writing an equation for a sentence, very similar to what we saw in chapter 1. However, now we have an equal sign to also worry about. Okay, next we have very similar to what we just did, but now it's kind of a word problem. So looking at number 4, Beth has read 12 of the 32 chapters in her assigned book. She plans to finish the book by reading X chapters each day for 8 days until the book is due. Write an equation that best represents the situation. So first of all, we need to define what X is going to be. Now, you're trying to figure out, let's see, how many chapters each day she needs to read. So X is going to be chapters. We always define our variable in word problems. So Beth has read 12 of the 32. So she already has 12 under her belt. She's ready to go for those 12, doesn't have to read any more in regards to those 12. Now, she has to read on top of that. So we have to add to that X chapters each day for 8 days. So what I would do is I would take 8 and multiply that by the number of chapters that she would need to read each day. So then we would have plus 8x and then equals the 32 total chapters that she has. So again, she's already read the 12, so that's why we started with the 12. Then she's going to read X chapters each day. When you see each day or per day or anything like that, that automatically implies multiplication. So she's going to be reading a certain amount of chapters for 8 days. So you would just take the 8 days and multiply that by the number of chapters that she's reading a day. Okay. Then we have number 5. Lily has walked 2 miles. Her goal is to walk 6 miles. Lily plans to reach her goal by walking 3 miles each hour for the rest of her walk. Write an equation to find the number of hours it will take Lily to reach her goal. So again, define our variable here. X is going to be hours. Now, Lily has already walked 2. So that, again, like I said on number 4, whatever they've started with, that's what we're going to start with. Her goal is to walk 6 miles. That would be the total. Lily plans to reach her goal by walking 3 miles. Again, when we see that each hour, that means multiplication. So then we have plus 3x equals her total of 6 miles. Now, on 4 and 5, notice we are not solving anything. All of the directions said to do was write an equation. Write an equation. So we're not actually solving in this section. We're just setting up the equations. We're just making sure that we're good to go on reading a word problem and being able to write an equation from a word problem. So that is it for the front of these notes. This answer here was all we were looking for, and this answer here is all we are looking for. Okay, let's move on to the back. Alrighty, on the back side, we have write an equation with multiple variables. So I see 7 less than. Again, when I see less than, that order has to flip. The sum of x and y. Sum of x and y would be addition. And since I see that of and there, I'm going to go ahead and put it in parentheses. And then we have 7 less than whatever that number is. Then as much as is our equal sign. 6 would be our answer on this one. So x plus y in parentheses minus 7 equals 6. So again, notice we have 2 variables there, so make sure you're very careful about making sure you include all of your variables. The perimeter, we're going to call this P, of a rectangle is twice the sum of the length, we're going to call L, and I always make my L's little lowercase cursive L so that they don't look like ones, and then the width we're going to call W. So the perimeter of a rectangle is means equals, so I have P equals twice means 2 times something. It's twice the sum of and, so I know that I have parentheses here, and then sum means addition, so twice the length of, twice the sum of the length and the width. There we go. So that would be our final answer on this one. Okay. Moving on down here, we have 8 and 9. Now we're actually doing the reverse of what we've been doing. We need to write a sentence for an equation, so when I look at number 8, there are so many different ways that you could write this. You could write 6 times x minus 15 is equal to 45. You could write the product of 6 and x decreased by 15 is equal to 45, is the same as 45, is 45. Like I said, there are so many different ways that we could write this. So I'm going to go ahead and put one up on the screen, but you could write whatever you wanted as long as it worked. So again, you have to make sure you have 6 times x somehow, whether that's product multiplied by whatever it may be. The minus, you need to have something that says minus, so decreased by. You could even use less than here, and actually I'm going to use less than. So I'm going to put 15 less than the product of 6 and x is equal to 45. Maybe. I don't use the type feature very often, so I'm sorry. Okay, so hopefully that's showing up on your end. Then we have number 9, and we see y squared plus 3 is equal to 25 would work. Y squared increased by 3 equals 25 would work. We could also have 3 more than y squared is equal to 25 is the same as 25. There's all kinds of ways that you can say equal here. So I'm going to go ahead and put y squared plus 3 is as much as, we'll use a different phrase for equals here, is as much as 25. So there are your 2 answers for 8 and 9. Again, you are not limited to those 2. There are so many different ways that you could actually write these answers. Okay, then we have 10 and 11 here. So now it says write a sentence for an equation with grouping symbols. So looking at number 10, I see 3 on the outside, so I'm going to say 3 times, and then in order to imply parentheses, you have to either say the quantity of y plus 1, or I'm going to say 3 times the sum of y and 1 is equal to 12. Then on 11, we have 7 on the outside here, so I'm going to go ahead and say 7 times. And then you could also say the difference of x and 9, but I'm going to go ahead and use quantity here. So 7 times the quantity of x minus 9. And then we're going to go ahead and say is equal to the product of 8 and x. Okay. So again, hopefully that's showing up on your end well. 7 times the quantity of x minus 9 is equal to, and then again, we did actually have to say something on the other side of the equal sign. We actually had an operation there. So the product of 8 and x. We had one like that on the front, but there's another one for you. And that would be it for your notes.